Good morning. Welcome back to G&H Honey Bees. It is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. And as you can see by that short little intro that I did, it is cold outside. It's a lot colder now than it has been. And it doesn't seem to want to go away. But anyway, this morning I thought I would share with you another beekeeping related project that I've been working on, and this has to do with my honey extractor. When I first started beekeeping, I didn't have an extractor, and if I got any honey harvest, I was loading all my frames and boxes and stuff in the car, taking it down to my father-in-law's place and using his extractor, and then loading everything back in the car and bringing it all home and unloading it. And that was actually quite a bit of work. So I ended up ordering a manual extractor. At the time, I didn't think I needed a motorized extractor because I don't have a large number of beehives, and I figured the manual extractor would be suitable for my purposes. So I got this little 2-frame manual extractor, and it works great. It is a great little extractor, does its job, does it really well. The only problem that I have with it is the fact that the hand crank is fixed to the drive spindle. And what I mean by fixed, it's bolted or attached directly to the end of the drive spindle. So when you're cranking this around to spin the honey out of the frames, this handle is constantly spinning around, and if you let go of it, this handle will continue to spin, and you can't really get hold of the handle again until the extractor spins itself to a stop and slows down and stops. And the one thing I noticed about my father-in-law's extractor, now it's quite old. It's probably 50 years old. It's an old galvanized steel. It's a great big steel thing. And it's a manual extractor. And when you crank it and let go of the handle just hangs down. Now, the reason that happens is because in the top part where the handle attaches to the drive spindle, there's a little ratcheting mechanism in there. So it prevents the handle from flying around when you let go of it. Now, I looked all over the place, and I searched, and I did YouTube searches, Google searches, Amazon searches, trying to find a ratchet mechanism for a manual extractor, and there are none. They're just not available. So I thought, well, I like making things. Let's design one and 3D print it. So this is what I've done. So I sat down and I made up this device here. This attaches to the drive spindle of the extractor, and inside here is a ratcheting mechanism that allows you to crank in one direction only. It's not reversible. It cranks in one direction, and then when you let go of the handle, it will continue to spin, but the handle will be just hanging straight down. And so I'm just gonna split this open. And what's on the inside of it? In the barrel, I've got 6 notches and a bearing for make it to operate a lot more smoothly. And on the drive spindle itself, I've got, let's take that right out of the cap. I've got this center portion that has 2 dogs in it that are held out by a spring. Now there goes the spring. And the spring just pops down in there. So when you're cranking this forward, those dogs are pressed into the flat parts of the barrel, and you can spin it forwards. Then when you let go of the handle, these dogs will slide backwards over this, creating a ratcheting mechanism. And in the cap, you can see I've got another bearing in there, so the thing operates really smoothly. Now, because this is 3D printed on a filament printer, using plastic filament, it has an inherent problem. The way a filament printer works is it lays down a layer of plastic, and then the print head moves up slightly, and then it lays another layer of plastic on top of the previous one. And if you don't have really good settings in your printer, the next layer that's printed may not adhere to the previous layer really well, and that can introduce weak spots in your print. Now, this is the second one of these I printed, because the first one I had it on the extractor and I was cranking away, and it actually split off here at this joint, and that's because the print lines, the print layers, let go. So I thought, well, I'll just keep making them and using them. I mean, it works, so why not just keep printing them? But, you know, in order to keep printing them, you gotta, you know, spend a little time printing out new pieces. So I was talking to my next door neighbor, and he was given a 3D resin printer. And it's a different method of printing stuff than using plastic filament. It uses resin, and it basically, it prints in layers as well, but it prints in really fine layers. Now, the finest I can get layers on my filament printer is about 0.2 millimeters. And if you run your thumbnail over that, you can actually hear the layers. Whereas the resin printer, that's perfectly smooth. Now, this is not metal, this is resin, and I painted it. Now, the resin that you use for let's back up a bit. This is 0.2 millimeter layer height. This is 0.01 millimeter layer height, so it's almost perfectly smooth. And the layers should be really well bonded together. Alright, so now, because this is resin, the type of resin that you use for 3D printing is cured by UV light, such as what's in sunlight. So, when you get a resin print out in sunlight, it will continue to cure. From what I understand, it will continue to cure, and it will get more brittle. So this is cured to the point where it needs to be, and then I painted it just with some silver paint to protect it from the UV sunlight. So that's why it looks like it does. Now, this is exactly the same thing as this one, except it's made out of resin, and it's much quieter. Put that together. Back in there. You can see how loud that one is. And how quiet that one is. So I'm going to give this one a try this year and see how well it stands up to the forces that you put on it. Because when this is on the drive spindle and you've got your handle out here further, and you're cranking that around, you're actually introducing quite a bit of force on that part of the print. So we'll see how it holds up. Now, just if you're curious about how well a resin printer prints, this is a model of a Stuart light tank that I got off of Thingiverse. And you can actually see all the detail in that model. Right down to the little machine gun that's right on the top there. Now, my filament printer just won't print something like that. It'll just be a blob. It cannot print that fine. And this is another model that I printed. And you can see all the detail that's on that. So that is another one of my winter projects. Now, some things about resin printing that you may not know or understand is that it's not, I don't know how to put it. What you really need is you need a good ventilation source around the printer, because the resin gives off fumes, and if you've got your printer in your house, you want to be able to extract those fumes and put them outside. And you need like a gas mask, a filter mask of some sort. You need rubber gloves, and you need isopropyl alcohol. When a print comes out of the resin printer, it's still got liquid resin on the outside of it, and you need to use isopropyl alcohol to wash that off so that it doesn't get cured into the print. Then the other thing you need is some sort of a UV light to actually cure the print so that it hardens up to the state where you need it to be. So there's some things that you need, and so it's kind of a touchy process, but it does work. So anyway, that's what I've been up to again with my designing and building stuff. And I'll try it out this year when we get some honey harvest and see how this goes. I think this is going to work really well. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you're staying inside and staying warm, at least if you're in the northern part of the planet. And yeah, we'll talk to you again on another video soon, hopefully. Bye for now.